All right, everybody, welcome to the 25th Super Magic Show. I hope you're having a really good Sunday. Today, we have a lot to discuss. Dragon Ball Daima is now over, and I've had a couple days to marinate on episode 20 of Dragon Ball Daima and on the series as a whole. And very controversial. It definitely got people talking, and not always for a good reason. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of things we're going to get to here. I've seen a lot of people debating about a lot of different things since the episode ended. I will tell you that, the episode, there was good and there was bad. On this stream, we're going to go into the pros and the cons of Daima and try to make sense of it all. But I will tell you, I do not have all the answers, right? Obviously, I don't have all the answers. I say that every week when we do these streams. I do not have all the answers. I do the best that I can with what I'm given. And I've also, been wrong. But no matter what, the one thing that I said last stream that applies with Daima that I did not think was going to apply as much as I said was I told you guys that when Dragon Ball Daima ends, it's not going to answer every question. Not everything will get resolved. And that's not because it was a leak. I had that feeling like, okay, this is not going to resolve everything. The problem is it opened up a whole bunch of new questions, and we're going to go into all that today. There's positive and negative opinions about Daima. I'm going to be discussing both here. Let me bring on my guest, though. He is one of the most fun people to do a live stream with. I love streaming with this dude because he's very positive. Now, we're not going to be like toxic positive here. We're going to be honest. But when he came the last time, it was a hit. So please welcome back Adonis SS Jutsu. Yo!
Yay! What up, though? What's good?
The last time you were here was Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
right
bro.
around then. Daima is over, bro. 20 episode miniseries is done. And man, talk about a very strange ending. I want to get this out of the way right now for everyone.
Yeah.
If you are confused about the ending of Daima, I completely understand.
100%.
Yes, because there's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things that were left open-ended. Let me ask you this, bro.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about this. So, and we're going to get to your super chats. I've already got a couple in there. Bear with me for just a moment, guys. I said when I watched Daima and when it ended, and in one of my reviews, I said that this felt more like a season finale than a series finale. Now, I want to make this very clear. As of today, which is March 2nd, 2025, first of all, yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of Toriyama's death.
Yep.
And today is actually the 10-year anniversary of the birth of this YouTube channel.
Sheesh.
That's wild, isn't it? Talk about
crazy.
A mix of emotions, bro. Very emotionally mixed. But here's the thing, yo. As of today, there is no announcement for a season 2 of Daima and no movie. Nothing has been announced as far as following this up. But it really seemed to me like there are things that were left open-ended that, like, if I were in charge of Dragon Ball, if Toei and Shueisha came to me today, the first thing I would say is, we need another 20 episodes to close all these holes. That's the first thing I would say. Now, I want to say this and get it out of the way now. I'm the only YouTuber, I think, and maybe I'm not the only one, but I'm one of the few who always says there is no canon. And I say that, people don't understand when I say that. They're like, what do you mean there's no canon, right?
Yeah.
And what I try to explain to people is the people who make Dragon Ball do not care anywhere near as much about continuity as the people in the West do.
For sure.
They just don't. They just, and people have a hard time accepting this. They just don't. And I don't think I feel weird about this because I have a mix of emotions, bro. I don't think that example has ever been more prevalent than with Daima, because the canon debates now are actually even crazier than they were before. So let me ask you, now that it's been a couple days, how do you feel about the ending of Daima, and how do you feel about the last episode and the series as a whole?
Okay. So just before that, I got to touch on the canon thing really quick, because I think, to your point, that Japanese culture doesn't really care about that in the anime space, and it's prevalent in most shonen animes. When they do movies, a lot of time their movies don't just slot into like the story thread. It's usually like a side mission, and it's like on the side. It's like a side story continuity, but it's not really tied majority of the time directly to the main storyline. So obviously Dragon Ball has that's been the case the entire time, right? So in terms of Daima, though, I think as an entire show, I really, really enjoyed it.
Really?
As an entire show, as an entire piece of work for Dragon Ball, I feel like they did a service to it in terms of it being more current in how it was executed. Where it's like, it's like, all right, cool. We're going to already have the product ready to go. It's not like, hey, we're still animating stuff a week before and having no, the show is done and they're just dropping it. Like, so I loved that. I love the fact that, okay, we're in a current production schedule with it. It's not just a week to week where the animation is fluctuating and, certain episodes have this super peaky animation, and then after that it drops, significantly. So we didn't have that. I love the music motif of the intro kind of through the show, just different iterations of it for tone. I love that. Animation quality was awesome. VA was awesome. Sound design was good. So I think overall, as a packaged show, I thought it was good. I thought it was probably like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 for myself. The biggest thing is going to be how it wrapped up, right? Because the main thing wrapped, but I think the thing that people see as plot holes are like, how does this connect to Super?
Yes, that's the big one.
And that's the part where it's like, okay, you gave us some things 2 episodes ago about Super Saiyan 4, the visual of Neva giving him this energy. And the assumption was either Neva did something magic that kind of activated something in Goku.
Right, that's what happened.
So you have that. And then you have Goku's explanation at the end where it's like, hold on, time out. It's like,
people misinterpreted it, because what he said was, I knew I had something else there and I trained real hard after Majin Buu, but I didn't think it would work. Yeah. So it's almost like he knew that he could have gone further beyond, right. But Neva had to kind of give him a little boost. That's the way that I interpreted it.
And I agree with you.
Because he wouldn't have been able to do it on his own, because if so, he would have already done it earlier in the fight. Yeah.
And then you go to Beerus in the final form of Super Saiyan 3. And this is where it's like...
And he says in the manga, this is my last transformation.
This is my last transformation. So in my head, I'm like... hold on, time out. So there's definitely things where I'm like, all right, I wish that there was a better explanation of that. And if that's just a plot hole that we have, then unfortunately, that's just a plot hole that we have, if they're connected. Because I think we can look at Daima 2 different ways, to be honest with you. And I saw this one person do a breakdown on Twitter, and I replied to it because I thought it was interesting. It had Dragon Ball Z, and then it had an offshoot. It was an image, and it was an offshoot of it. One said GT, the other said Daima and Super. And I don't think that's really canonically correct if we're talking about canon, how they're explaining it.
Well,
because technically, Daima and Super still take place in the Dragon Ball Z timeline. Like, so it's like it's still Dragon Ball Z, and these are like side missions. That's what it feels like. It's like,
not to mention that Super has 3 canons: the anime, the manga, and the movies. There's 3 different Battle of Gods, yo. There's 3 different Battle of Gods. And that's why I tell people, like, I understand people want to make sense of canon, but they don't give a shit. Now, there, like you said, there's a couple ways for us to look at this. The problem, this is the big concern that I think every Dragon Ball fan will agree with me on, and that is, with the passing of Toriyama, the future is very uncertain because we might not ever get an answer now because he's gone. I'm hoping that Akio or Toyotaro will say something, but yeah. And I will continue your point because I do want to address more of this.
Yeah, because like my theory, again, this is a super theory on this whole concept, right? Is Toriyama's story is that volume of manga over here, right? Like that's the series of Dragon Ball, right? So in terms of that, in my head, this is my headcanon, guys, by the way. There's no facts to this. It's just my theory on this. Is I think knowing how people's relationships are with people, right? If you're close to someone, if you're, let's say, mentoring someone, you're going to have more of a personal conversation about things that are happening to you, maybe in the future, X, Y, and Z, like kind of your thoughts on things, right? Especially as you're getting older, you can confine to certain people a little bit better. In saying that, I'm like, why is there a reason that Daima and Super are taking place still within the confines of the Dragon Ball Z timeline? And in my head, I'm like, is it something where, again, just headcanon, where it's like, look, after I go, you continue after Z. But before I go, everything that I want to do is within the confines of Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
And to me, I feel like that's a respectful way of them kind of keeping it there and not saying, all right, well, if something happens to me now, you got to continue a story that I didn't really plan out. Or for Toyotaro to say, okay, now that the mantle has been passed, I can say, all right, well, I'm going to take it from here past Z and see where the story goes.
But we don't know that.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And this is where my big concern was with Dragon Ball Daima. Is in my head, I was like, and I talked about this at the beginning of my reaction for episode 19. It was actually after episode 19 was done, I was talking about the episode. And I was like, it would be really dope. I was like, if there was some tie, I was like, if there was a post-credit scene of Daima, right? At the end of Daima, there was a post-credit scene of them just having some level of magic continuity, of maybe something in the past of them referencing Moro. That would be a really cool way of saying, hey, Daima existed for us to have some kind of baseline about magic and stuff like this for the Moro arc later. Because in my head, I'm like,
a lot of people wanted that.
What was the purpose of Daima in terms of, like, outside of you want to create a story, right? What was the purpose of the future of the series? What was the reasoning for the lore dump? You know what I'm saying? Like, you dumped all this lore and all this, and then in my head, I'm like,
that's why some people think it's a waste of time. And I get why they think that.
And I can understand that. And I can understand that. And so these are the things where I'm like, I don't know how to look at it in terms of an objective piece of work, because I love visually. I like the story. I thought it was fun. It definitely had like this new age Dragon Ball vibe to it. Like, I felt like it had a fun, adventurous personality to it. And
then the last 3 episodes were Z and GT.
Oh my God. And it was cool. Mixed. Yeah. And it was hype, and I was like, and it was cool of like hearing the new age anime fans like that always talk shit about Dragon Ball. Oh, it's basic, blah blah, and then it breaks the internet twice in the last 3 episodes. Like, it's one of those things where it's like it shows how prevalent this series can be when it's really, going crazy. But yeah, I am left a little whelmed on, well, what is the state of the series moving forward?
Very confusing. Like I said, I wasn't expecting everything to get closed. The fusion bugs I thought was a guarantee. Oh, make sure you clip this out and put it on Twitter.
Bro.
The fusion bugs I thought was a guarantee based
Same.
on foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Based on foreshadowing, and everybody thought so. I was told, I was straight up told by somebody, not somebody at Toei, that they heard that it was going to be Glorio and Goku, that it's going to be Gloku. Now, I never saw a sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw a behind the scenes image. I was just told that, and I believed the person. That's why I never made a video saying, hey guys, the fusion will be blank, because I couldn't double source it. And if you've been following my fucking channel, you know that if I can't double source something, I'm not going to say it. But I did say on multiple streams that the fusion is coming. Not because it was a leak, but because they foreshadowed it in episode 4. And I thought, okay, it's going to be in the last episode as a big surprise.
Yeah, I think from the film aspect of it, there's something called Chekhov's gun, right?
And it was failed. It was failed.
And I've never seen that happen. I talked about this too. I was like, oh, we're definitely going to get it. They showed it. They showed the bag drop. I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to have, somebody's going to pick it up and it's going to be used.
Pick it up.
Somebody's using a bug. That's what I thought, just based off of basic storytelling, and it didn't happen. And I was really like, I was taken aback because it was really strange.
Adonis, but here's the thing though. It's not the writer's fault. It's not Toriyama's fault. It's my fault. I'm the one. I don't know. Let's ask Twitter. It's my fault. I'm the reason Daima sucked. Okay. The point is it's fucking retarded, bro. I'm sorry, but it is. It's like brainworm shit. But the point is that everyone expected a fusion in the finale, and we didn't get it. And here's the weird thing. In the back of my head, people were wanting Vegito, and I was thinking, okay, it's probably going to be like a gag, like Ku and Do, or like Shin and, Kibito again. I didn't expect it to be like a real, like I expected the post-credit scene to be like someone eats a bug on accident and they fuse, and that's like the joke, like what they did with Gotenks in Superhero.
Right.
They just dropped the entire story. Now, I have seen some people ask me, do you think that maybe they planned for there to be a fusion, and then as they were writing it, they changed their minds? Now, while that is a possibility, here's the reality of Chekhov's gun. If you're writing a story and in chapter 4 you foreshadow something, and then when you get to chapter 19 you say, shit, we don't have time for it, you go back to chapter 4, you take it out. And they didn't do that. The reality is, look, there was a lot of cool shit in Dragon Ball Daima, but there was a lot of objectively bad storytelling. And I'm saying that as 100% respectful of Toriyama. But modern Toriyama and modern Dragon Ball has had this problem. This is not just a Daima issue.
Correct.
Going back to Resurrection F, Frieza says in Resurrection F, written by Akira Toriyama, he says, I will train and get to a power level of 1.3 million.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Form 2 on Namek was 1 million. Form 3 on Namek, which was at the time like 15 years prior in the timeline. Yeah. So did Toriyama just forget the numbers? And the thing is, this is not one of those things where I'm not saying it was Toriyama's fault, but modern Dragon Ball is just not the same as the old school stuff. That's why when I stream on Saturdays, when I show the old Dragon Ball Z episodes, I'm like, look, Super had hype moments. Daima had hype moments. you're never going to top the old stuff. You're just not. Like, Toriyama had like this streak of like, you know how writers have like this Zen-like streak where it's like banger after banger? Yeah, now he's semi-retired. There's other people involved. So I want to talk more about the Canon thing in just a moment. Let me get some of these super chats because they're going to start building up, bro. And I do not want to keep you longer than you need to be here. Because, dude, I did a 4-hour stream because the super chats wouldn't stop. But I do appreciate your super chats. I want to say one quick thing. If you are under the belief that Daima and Super are in two different continuities, I don't blame you. However, please understand that there has not been a statement made at all. I don't care what you think you read. There's an Ioku interview that people are taking out of context saying, well, he never said it ties into Super, but he said it's a sequel to the Majin Buu saga. And Super takes place. The first thing you see in Super episode 1 is the Majin Buu saga. Like, and here's the thing. Let me ask some Adonis, brother. Let me ask you something, and let me know if this makes any sense to you. I'm Toei, and I want to make a Dragon Ball anime, and I want to bring GT back. Let's just say, right? Why would I bring in Toriyama to make a non-canon anime?
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
What most people typically think that the canon is what Toriyama wrote or was involved in. Now, it's way more complicated than that because there's other writers and there's other projects. To have Toriyama write like an alternate timeline is weird. However, we've seen stuff like that in the past with other projects, but it's still rare. However, Daima, there's still 3 years between Daima and Super. If they're both in the same continuity, there's still 3 years between them. I think there's a possibility, and we may never know, that Toriyama did have more to tell, but he passed away before he could tell it. And that's my concern. Because then we'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think any of those are a possibility, to be honest with you. And you're right. Like, we won't know. And I think because people are like, oh, well, you think it's going to be done? I'm like, look, Dragon Ball as a franchise makes way too much money for Toei to just be like, all right, we're finished. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that's the case. Like, I just don't believe it's the case.
See, I was like you, brother, but now I don't know, man, because they have mishandled this property very badly. We're going to get to more of that here in just a minute. Okay, Yash, do you plan on watching Daima again from the start to finish eventually? I did that before episode 20 dropped, and it made me appreciate the series way more. Yeah, binging it has helped. I watched every episode at least 3 times because I had to do multiple videos on each episode. I will not be watching the series again anytime soon, but I think down the road I might. However, once again, I want to repeat what I said before. I've seen Dragon Ball Super all the way through twice. I've seen Daima like 3 times. Well, I saw Super multiple times when it aired originally, but I mean like a start to finish viewing twice. Daima once, but Dragon Ball and Z, bro, 7-8 times. Because
easy.
Dude, it's just a different. We can all agree, right? Like, am I crazy for saying that Dragon Ball and Z was better?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like, you know,
like, I don't think that's so hard. I don't even. You know what's crazy is I think a lot of people that talk about how Dragon Ball Z is mid or whatever have never actually watched Dragon Ball. Like, have never actually seen
or Z. They just played the games.
They either play the games or they caught the end of it or they caught fights. And yeah, it's hilarious. But yeah, continue.
Next one. NN. That ending was trash. I'm sorry if I'm negative. Don't blame you at all.
Hey, you can feel how you feel.
Yeah, me and Adonis are positive people. Like, I try to be optimistic about things, but I can understand because that ending left me feeling empty as well. And it wasn't because everything didn't tie in. It was just because it was the shit that I was worried about going back to episode 13 when I said, why are we wasting time on the Giants?
Yeah.
And keep in mind, keep this in mind, folks. I want you to, because now that it's over, I can tell you everything. I can now talk freely, finally. I knew Super Saiyan 4 was coming in episode 18. I knew that episode 19, they were going to become adults again. I knew that 20 was going to end the battle, but I said to myself, wait a minute. Like, are they actually going to be able to fit everything without it feeling rushed?
When we had that conversation, you're one of the biggest conversations that we had that stream. You were asking about the pacing. You're like, I don't know if the pacing is not enough time. And I even said, we won't know until it ends. Yeah, I won't know if the pacing's good or not, right? And I completely agree. There were certain episodes where like, okay, we didn't really need this. It didn't push the story forward at all, considering the fact now that we ended and we're still having questions that are unanswered. I completely agree.
And you know what? Super had the same thing. I think people forget there's a lot of unanswered questions in Super as well. Like, for example, the whole, like, when they wish back the universes, did the other dead ones come back? That's one. We don't know what the hell happened to Trunks, like, after he went back to his timeline. Like, did he actually get peace? Right. We don't. Black Frieza has been dangling in front of us now for 3 years. That's why I just am not too optimistic about them actually continuing. I think they will, but I just don't trust them. I'm just being honest. Dai Chan says we could have Demon King Piccolo. Well, we did, just not that one.
Right.
Calvin Patel, the score with the trumpets during the Kamehameha was peak. That Kamehameha when he ripped the hole in the damn demon realm.
That was so sick.
That's one of the top 3 Kamehamehas of all time.
It was so good.
It was incredible. Air Dog. So good. Goku never tried SS4 when he fought Beerus on King Kai's planet. So the only way that makes sense is if Daima occurs in a different timeline from Super. Or it makes sense if Goku never figured out how to use it again because magic wasn't available to him. Or something happened in those 3 years between Daima and Super. See, people have this fucking thing where they're stuck on one thing. Well, no, it has to be a different continuity. When I'm giving you very logical and plausible reasons, like, there's never been a statement made by Akio, Toriyama, or anyone that this is a different continuity. Don't you think that they would have said that from the very beginning? Wouldn't they have said, like, this is an alternate timeline, an alternate retelling? They didn't say any of that shit, bro. Like, the copium is high here. So I'm just letting you know that. Is Air Dog crazy for thinking that? No. But that's not the only answer. The problem is, no matter what side you're on, we don't have any answer.
It's too much ambiguity right now. It's way too much.
The people who like Super and hate Daima are literally saying that Daima's not canon, and the ones that like Daima are saying Super's not canon, but nobody has a clue. Let's be real. Nobody has a clue. Why? Because they haven't said anything. Now, I could sit here and I could be the guy and say, you know what, guys? I think that Akio Yoku will eventually reveal the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if he will because they don't care. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. Brandon says, Mr. 101, forgive me if you answered this before, but you had previously reported a blue Popo in the Demon Realm. Was this mistaken identity with a Popo Mini? Yes, I actually explained that all the way back in October, that the blue Popo was a sheet that was miscolored that was sent to me. That was explained multiple videos ago, multiple streams ago. Because guess what, guys? When I get something wrong, I'm man enough to admit that I was wrong. Was I wrong about the fusion bugs? Yeah, but guess what? So was everybody else. So we're all dumb. Or we're not all dumb. We're all smart. They're dumb for foreshadowing this shit and not paying it off. All right, Guzman, Grafter of Nightmare. Thoughts on the Spanish dub? I can't hear shit when it comes to the dub audio. The Spanish dub of Daima doesn't exist yet. So if it's out and I haven't seen it yet. If you're talking about Dragon Ball and Z, I love the Latin American dub. So I know that's more of a question for me than you, bro. But I mean, it's all good. It's all gravy. All right, next one. Dragon Dan. DBD is 9 out of 10. Daima. Episode 13 shouldn't be there with 20 split into 2. Agreed. Kibito could have brought Gohan and Gotenks with them, and Kibito Kai stall for the bug fusion. Yeah, and that's another one. He just brought up. We didn't even see Gohan for one frame. I can tell you I was not expecting that either. I never said that we were going to see Gohan. I just thought that we'd see him at the very end when they go back to Earth, and we didn't even see that.
Yeah, there was nothing. I thought we were going to go back and see. I thought we were going to go back to Earth, and we never did. And I was like, oh, okay. That's cool.
Caleb says, since episode 1, I knew they were going to mess up the ending, starting with them refusing Shin and Kibito. Yeah, I because I'm optimistic, just said, okay, let's wait and see. Because here's the thing about me, guys. Let me just talk to y'all as Danny. Danny is 40 years old. The days of Danny getting overly emotional over anime and screaming and that's behind me, brother. I just want to watch it and enjoy it and just be chill. I just want to relax, right? So I'm the type of guy where if something happens in episode 1, I'm not going to complain because I think, well, maybe it'll get answered later.
Yeah,
that's my mentality as an optimistic person. Maybe it'll get answered later. Dragon Ball Daima did that to us like 6 times and didn't answer shit. And the problem is, Adonis, that hurts the series. That brings the rating of the series down when you have stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's more so of like people always have their speculation about things, right? And then when their speculation becomes expectation, and then it's like it drops it again, right? Because they're like, oh, well, this didn't happen, so it's already notched down again. Oh, Vegito didn't happen. And in my head, I was like, well, if you're going based on what we know about fusions to begin with, let's just start there. If they're going to be using these bugs, it wouldn't be Gogeta or Vegito anyways. It'd be a new character if they're using a bug. Right. They're not using the rings or the Metamorph fusion. So it would be something else just technically.
Right.
But again, I was like, all right, I still wanted to see what it was they wanted to do.
Even if it was gag, right?
Exactly. Even if it was a gag. Like people were like upset about the eyes. Like, oh, well, I can't believe but that's the comedy of it. Is like, oh, some dude found this and was like, oh, I'm going to buy this at this thing because it's so expensive. Let me see if I get power. And like, that's hilarious to me. I'm like, hold on. So the Demon King bought this at a thrift shop? Like, that's funny. I thought that was hilarious. That's funny to me.
And it was forever ago, too.
And it was so long ago, right? So again, I think it's more so of where the connective tissue doesn't exist that makes people look at it like this. Did I just waste my time? I think where people get to this point of not having fun with it.
And I want to say this to everybody. I want to be real with you. I understand when I say that there's no canon and that they don't care about canon, I'm not saying it because I'm with them. I agree with you. I think there should be a canon. But I also live in the real world and have studied Toriyama my whole life and will tell you he just doesn't care as much as other writers do. Like, he's not like, we have authors who like are super like, very tight with their writing. Toriyama is a comedy. Like, if you watch Dr. Slump, Arale punches the earth, it cracks in half, and the very next scene is back together again, no explanation.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. Like, he's never cared. Now, J. Dot right here, I'm glad he submitted this super chat because this is an example of what I was talking about earlier. He says, Daima's about as canon as the Yo Son Goku and his friends return special, which was written by Toriyama, by the way. Cool transformations, animations, but it's not a good show at all, in my opinion. So your idea of canon is, well, I didn't like it, so it's not canon. So you made my point. If your opinion on what is canon is what you like,
yeah,
how can anybody else agree if everybody likes different things?
yeah.
Well, you know what? I really like Tree of Might. Does it make sense with the rest of the Dragon Ball Z timeline? No, but I like it, so it's canon. Doesn't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way, dude. It doesn't work that way. Like, I've seen this for years, dude. Quaman brought this up. He goes, if Dragon Ball GT was better, people would say it was canon.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. I agree that, I agree with that so much.
And that goes to what I was trying to tell you, brother. I'm 40 and I have gone through a lot of therapy and I've disconnected my emotions from Dragon. Sorry, I muted myself on accident. I disconnected my emotions from Dragon Ball. So, and I still love Dragon Ball, but like, I'm not going to sit here and be that guy who's like, well, I don't like it, so it's not canon. And I'm going to make a definitive statement. Who the fuck are you, bro? You're not Toriyama. You're not Akio. You're not. None of us are. So if we aren't the ones writing it, how do we have the right to say what is and isn't canon?
Facts.
Which is why I say there is no canon. It actually makes me pull my hair out that I've been saying this for years and people still don't get it. It's like they refuse to. It's like they refuse to accept it, bro. They don't care. Now, again, I'm with you. They should care. But after Daima, I don't know, man. All right, Goat Maker, do you want DB to end after Toriyama's death? I don't know. Because I'm going to see what I want. I want new blood to come in and write Dragon Ball. Somebody who's a lifelong fan, who understands Toriyama, and who is a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
A really good writer. Better than Toyotaro. That's what I want. Now, am I going to get that? What about you, bro? Do you think Dragon Ball should end?
Well, I mean, this has been like the question since Toriyama passed for me. It's like, what do they do with the franchise, right? And in the same way, when you have, let's say, for sake of the argument, like Bleach comes back, right, for 1,000-Year Blood War anime,
right,
and they're taking their time with it to make sure that it looks a particular way, right? They said already, hey, we're going to do 4 cores of this arc, 12, 13 episodes each core, and then you're going to have they're fixing things that the writer Kubo did, people didn't either like, or because he was going through some shit, he had like some plot holes, so they're fixing things in the anime.
Wow, they actually had a plan. What a concept.
There's like, and the cool thing about this, because there was like a 10-year hiatus for Bleach, so they decided to incorporate new shit in the anime for fans that have been rocking with this shit for so long, and they're not just getting a rehash of the manga, they're getting like new scenes, like, oh, this is sick. So it's like a cool love letter to the fans that have been supporting the series while it's been away on hiatus. So in my head, I'm like, if Dragon Ball decides to continue, what's the question? Are we after Z now? Are we finishing Super's manga run? What's going to be the thing? Because in my head, and again, just my personal opinion, I think they should start after Super.
Yeah,
I mean, not after Super, after Z. Sorry about that.
After end of Z, yeah.
Because there's no stakes right now. If you're going off of what we know happens at that tournament with Oob, they all are alive. So we know, like, there's no stakes there. Like, we already know everybody survives whatever they're going through at the end of Z. I want to get out of the time skip. Like, Toriyama is gone, RIP. He's the GOAT. Cool. Let's start something fresh and move forward. And whatever was created while he was here, let's just let that be its thing. Like, you could pick up Black Frieza and all that shit after. Cool. I mean, if you're looking at it from the timeline perspective from the manga, knowing that Beast Gohan and all that stuff happened, the Goten and Trunks and them, they're already kind of at that age, it seems like, that they were at the tournament. There's nothing stopping you to say, okay, maybe let's pick up Black Frieza after Z.
I've said very similar things to you, brother. I've said, but again, I feel so frustrated as a fan of Dragon Ball because it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
And the manga's now on another hiatus. And it's like, what? And I'm just like, if you're going to end it, if you've decided no more Dragon Ball, just announce it. Just say Toriyama's gone, it's over. But they haven't said anything. They haven't said if they're going to tie Daima into Super. They haven't said if they're not going to tie Daima. That's the issue, is that people are jumping to conclusions and having canon debates when nothing's been said.
Yeah.
Akio said that Daima's a sequel to the Buu Saga. It is. It's literally right after.
Yeah.
But he never said it's not part of Super. But then here come the questions. How do you explain Super Saiyan 4, Kibitoshin, things like that?
Yeah.
And those are logical questions to ask.
Correct.
It's just that I'm the type of guy who I can explain things, but if they don't give me something to work with, bro, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
You get my point. Like, yeah. JD says, plus SS4 had a great animation fight sequence, plus classic Dragon Ball. Guy Toriyama with Ku being the key hero like Mr. Satan, plus King Ku appointing Goku and company ministers of the Air Juries of the West, minus no SS4 with Nioibo, bad foreshadowing with fusions. Okay, hold on. So this is a problem. You said you're docking points off of Daima because you didn't get the Nioibo Super Saiyan 4. That's what you wanted. They never foreshadowed it in Dragon Ball Daima.
Correct.
They just had the one pan out camera with the bow. That's it. You cannot dock points from Daima because you had an idea in your head that didn't happen. I see way too many people doing this. They go see a movie and they have this wild imagination like this dude does. And then when they don't get exactly what they wanted, well, that sucked. Okay, you can say Daima has problems, and it does, but the fact that Super Saiyan 4 wasn't triggered by the Nioibo is not a criticism, homie. That's what you wanted. Not the same thing. All right. Raylin, Goku can't do it at will like UI and SS got at first. That's what I've been saying. That's my explanation. It's not good enough. No, but he said he trained. Yes, he did. He never said, I trained and unlocked this form. He said, watch it again. I got 2 translations of that. He said, I trained and I knew I had something, but I wasn't sure if it was going to work. And then Neba made it work. I don't understand why people are having. I think people sometimes make it harder on themselves when sometimes. What's the name of that? Like you know how they say like the simplest answer is sometimes like.
Yeah, this is the challenge, right? This is why I was saying they need to. Like, I agree with you with the writers, is because the writing hasn't caught up to current standards.
I agree.
So you're thinking, hey, it could be this really elaborate. I have an issue with that when I react to it. I'm like, oh, this could be this and that, because I'm thinking a complex writing scheme that they could add to this. But that's not Toriyama's bag. That's never been his thing. He's not, let me build this crazy conceptual. His stuff is really straightforward. It's really been like that from jump. So,
well, JD's idea is a good idea, but you can't knock points because you didn't get your idea done.
Correct.
Like it just, that doesn't.
And that's what I was saying. People's speculation becomes expectation. It's like, you can speculate. That's cool. We all do it. But when it doesn't happen, it's like, oh, well, they should have did. It's like, well, it's almost like what they did with Game of Thrones, right? Where people are like, oh, this person should have been this. I'm like, I get what you're saying. I get it. If the story didn't make sense, I would understand where you like, this should have done this. The story makes sense. You just prefer this outcome.
Right.
Completely get that as well. I'm okay with that. But they didn't foreshadow this at all. So yeah, bro, it's a very different story.
I could literally take every single Dragon Ball Super and Daima arc every single one and write and rewrite them and make them better. I'm not saying that because I'm this great writer. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying most fans can do that, but I can't. But because it's not what I wanted, I can't just say it sucks. Big Black Broken Man, Jesus.
Yeah.
Bro, love your channel, and I freaking love Daima. When does that Clean God series start? Also, is there any word of Dragon Ball Super continuation? Never and no. If there was, I would have made a video on it, brother. Amari 3316 V2. Like I said in my Twitter thread from a couple of days ago, the last episode of Daima really reminded me of the reality of modern Dragon Ball, both up positives and negatives. Yes, this is not just a Daima problem. This is a problem with modern Dragon Ball. Too many stories are left unresolved. There's too many things that aren't. I understand you don't have to explain everything, but there's too many things that are left up to interpretation when some things shouldn't be.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I don't know. All right. Donovan Jr. At this point, I believe Dragon Ball is pretty much like the Marvel universe and DC universe. Basically, there's a multiverse that exists in the Dragon Ball universe. That's one way to look at it, and that's a lot of comic books do that, not just Dragon Ball. Wisco Dippers says, do you think they have the balls to crank out another 300 episode Dragon Ball series, or do you think the death of the creator makes Dragon Ball future look bleak in the long term?
I don't think any anime needs to be coming out with a 300. Like, tell a story in an arc, let that season be done. Wait, build the next shit. Like the whole like weekly thing, and that shit is over. Like,
I agree with you.
It's just, you can't keep the quality high enough for that long. It just tell a story arc and let that be what that is, and then come back when the next story arc is ready to go. Like I do not want another 300 fucking episode Dragon Ball. I don't want that at all.
What's perfect for fans and even creators like you and I is 20 episodes every year. You get 20 episodes of Daima, 20 episodes of Moro, 20 episodes of Granola, 20 episodes of Superhero, 20 episodes of Black Frieza. Then that way we have 20 weeks where we're cranking out focused content. And then for the remainder of the year, we're speculating on what could happen next and reviewing what we saw. That's perfect. That's how television shows, even in Japan, are set up. The problem is that Toei Animation is run by a bunch of dinosaurs, and they are kind of stuck in the past.
Yeah.
But things have changed a little bit because Daima in and of itself is new for Dragon Ball.
I mean, considering the fact that they're doing a whole One Piece remake, is like
that was surprising. That surprised me.
And having a whole other studio animated, like there's definitely some things changing there. So some of these possibilities it's possible. And like my dream, I've said this, I don't know for how many years, bro. I think I've been saying this shit since 2019. My dream is for them to redo Dragon Ball, but have Studio Ghibli do it. I wanted them to do that forever. It would be amazing. But yeah, I digress.
Like Kai, but except from the ground up, not just old footage. Just adapt it like the manga, Kubota. I've wanted that too. And I think we're going to get that someday. It's just, who knows when, bro. Maybe after Nozawa passes and they have a new voice for Goku. Amari says, with that aside, I enjoyed most of Daima overall, including the first half of episode 20 and parts of the second half of episode 20. Yeah, I mean, I actually think the early exploration stuff was fun, but then it was like, okay, we got 20 episodes. Let's get a move on. If this show was like 25 episodes or 30, that would have benefited it a lot. I think 20 really hurt it, you know, or you have the last episode be longer, which everybody wanted. Hey, Geekdom, I enjoyed Daima, all of it. It wasn't perfect, but it was enjoyable, and I watched all your reviews and breakdowns. Thank you, Dust Shinobi. I had fun making them. It's a lot of work, but I had fun making them. I've still got more Daima content to go. I have a full series review of Daima where I'm going to go into details on the good and the bad. And the thing about my review is, unlike everybody else, I'm not going to compare it to Super, and I'm not even going to compare it to GT all that much. I'm going to compare it to Broly and Superhero because those two stories came about very similar to Daima, where Akio pitched an idea. One was Broly, one was let's do a movie and make Gohan the lead, and one was Super Saiyan 4, and Toriyama built around it. That's how those projects came about. So I want to do it. I don't want to just because comparing Daima to Super is not fair. It's 20 episodes versus 131. Like it's you can, but it's just what do you compare it to each arc?
Yeah, they're so different.
Yeah. Jeremiah, is Turles' purpose in Dragon Ball Super as Goku Black? I don't understand what you mean by Turles' purpose in Dragon Ball Super, but Turles and Goku Black are two different characters completely. They just represent an evil Goku. They're basically, what if we got an evil Goku? One is Turles and one is a guy taking over Goku's body. So that's Slyrock, I'm sorry. They spent 5 minutes with Ku rambling horrible. I agree. They were like doing the whole like executive order shit, which is very true to reality now.
Yeah.
But what'd you think about Majin Ku being the Demon King? I actually thought it was a cool subversion.
I thought
he's not all that powerful.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was. I mean, look, I think you have a couple of things that, again, it's if we had more time, I think it makes it fun for the majority of people. The fact that was the end of the series, that's how it ended, I think is why people feel a particular way about it.
Underwhelming.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, all right, so that's how we're ending it. Okay, like we have 5 minutes of him appointing people, and then completely ignores my man. That was hilarious, by the way. He was like, "Oh, I want to be it." He's like, "All right, cool, we out of here." I thought that was hilarious.
That was funny.
But I think it's because there just wasn't enough time. I think if we had 2 more episodes or 3 more episodes, I don't think anybody would be upset about that little 5-minute side quest of him appointing people. I don't think that would be an issue, but I think it's because it's how it ended.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Also, and I'm going to go more into this in my review for Daima, the Arinsu character, it's like she turned almost too easily. I thought that was lazy writing. I want to say this too, because earlier in the stream, I talked about like, the fact that I'm 40 and stuff like that. I'm not saying that to make people feel young or to make myself seem smarter. I'm saying that because I have a different viewpoint on life than a lot of people in the fandom do. What I mean by that is hold on. I think I fucked up. I went too far down. Hold on. I went too far down. Let me go back up. I'm my bad. I don't want to miss anybody's super chat. And I hit the wrong button. And so we have a lot of, I don't want to miss anybody's shit. So that's why I'm scrolling up now. Yeah. Havoc sent in some stuff. JD did. Noel. Oh God. Where the hell did we leave off?
We're talking about Turles.
No, I know that, but I'm trying to find where that was at, because there's a lot of Daima's Gohan's Dream. That's the super chat coming up. I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. Oh, yeah. So I felt like Arinsu was poorly written, and so was Degasu, and I go more into that I just want to say that. Hold on. Dude, oh my God, we have a lot. We have a lot of. Oh my God, I'm sorry, bro.
You're all good.
I'm overwhelmed again. Okay, I'm gonna say this again. Stop sending me money, okay? Because I want to answer all your questions, but I have a lot backed up, and I want to also talk to Adonis about like other topics involving Daima during the stream. But so just please pause for a few because I'm overwhelmed, bro. Like there's a lot of questions. and I don't want to miss anybody's because I actually care. Believe it or not, I care. If you give me money, I want to give you your money's worth. So, okay. Do you think it would have been worse or better if the whole thing was a dream or if it did a memory wipe? Because I saw some theories about that.
I hate both.
I hate both too.
I hate both. This is my thing. And it's one of those things where as a viewer, right? You start the series, all this lore, blah, blah. The characters don't remember any of it. So now it's like, well, what's the point of the characters going through it if they don't remember anything that happens? I don't like that
I hate
concept
that too. I hate it. I hate it.
So yeah, I don't like either one of those ideas at all, actually.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't either. I'm with you. All right, I like this one. Super had issues, but the final fight with Jiren was actually hype. Did Daima even break Crunchyroll? Twice.
Twice.
Do your homework before you say something. Super Daima didn't break Crunchyroll. Yes, it did.
Less episodes.
Yeah, episodes. With newer servers, because the servers they have now are newer than the ones from 2017. All right, Blue Senshi 19. I always watch the newest Dragon Ball series in Japanese once. Then when the English dub releases, stick with the dub. I did this for Super 2. The Super dub has way too many changes, not as many as Z. I always lean to sub when it comes to Dragon Ball. With other anime, though, there are anime. Like people think that I'm like a dub hater and a sub elitist. Well, people don't really think that, but initially they may get that impression. I'm not. I actually watch most of my anime dubbed, but if I really like a show, I will check it out sub just to kind of see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's so funny. There's certain things like for like the reaction side of things for me. I tend now, if the show is comedic, I actually watch it in English because I don't want to read a punchline. Like I would rather catch whatever the joke is.
And sometimes jokes doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so people are like, oh, well, so if I know the joke is coming now because I'm reading it and I'm like, well, it doesn't hit the same. So, and I don't care, like I speak English. So I would prefer watching it in a language that I understand without needing to read it.
Right.
But at the same time, it's because historically the dubs haven't really been that good. You know what I'm saying? You're like, the voice acting, this sounds a little wonky. Sometimes they're getting things like super last minute. So they're trying to do stuff and they have to change things really quickly. So there's other factors that play into that. But recently, a lot of the dubs have been really good.
Past like 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah, they've been really good. So again, I still think if you're really, like you said, if you're really into a series, and I'm a very similar way, I obviously the Japanese subtitle version is going to be a more cohesive experience, right? But that's just my opinion.
What I've been doing lately actually is non-anime. Like for example, I've been watching Daredevil again to get ready for Born Again. I actually watch it with the subs turned on. I don't know if you ever done this, just in case like
you miss something. Are you? Because audio mixes be ruining shows as of late. And you like Game of Thrones, what is it? House of the Dragon has been notorious for me of like the mix just sounds I can't hear the voices half the time. And I'm like, why is this mix so off? So I would just put on the subtitles.
Right.
But yeah.
That's a new thing for me. But if you're like visually impaired, I mean, I have bad eyesight, but if you're visually impaired, you can only watch dub. That's fine, but it's a case-by-case thing. Alex Anders said, I second that second season, more King Piccolo lore. Yeah, I agree with you, but there's been nothing. There's no announcement or anything for that. They should, but there's been nothing for that. Battle Cry 78, could Orinzu become a potential ally in the future? Yes, but I didn't like the way that she just kind of switched. Supreme Kai in like 2 episodes is like, well, you're not that bad. What'd you think about that? Did that bother you or you didn't care?
Honestly, I didn't care. I'm really about like the show, not tell, right? So I think when she didn't get the wish, they got, obviously everybody got big again. No Diddy. You had her reaction to Glorio, right? I think was enough for me to be like, okay, she acknowledged the fact that this is probably going to be the best case to stop this motherfucker right now. And then also she just told him like, look, you're fired. It was more so she understood his decision without turning like pure evil. Cause I don't think that was never been her demeanor. Right. It was like, I'm a pure evil person. That was never that.
But she's not pure good either.
She's not pure good. Like she's definitely she's like a chaotic neutral type of person, right? Like I'm gonna do some crazy shit, but like I'm not on really either side of this. So, but yeah, I wasn't really pressed, to be honest with you.
I just thought it was a little too like it wasn't her. It was mostly Supreme Kai just saying, "Well, you're not so bad." I wouldn't have written it like that.
Look,
she should have probably been arrested.
I've said this multiple times in my reactions. Shin as a character is the most annoying character to me in Dragon Ball because like he is the biggest contradiction at all times. Every time he describes something, oh, he's the most powerful this. He's almost as powerful as Beerus. When the fuck did you know that? You don't even know. He's so oblivious. So I never know. I can never take what he says for any level of credibility. I'm just like, okay, he's just saying shit again. Like,
this is the same guy who said during Super there were 22 planets left in the universe, even though we literally see tons of them in multiple scenes. Yeah, he's a very bad god of creation. Angelo Dululio, sorry if I butchered your name. Geekdom, your point about not making sense to bring Toriyama back to make a non-canon series is spot on. It can still fit with Super through the power of the pen, as Jordan the Dragon Lee said. Well, again, the stuff that people think is a contradiction, some of it is a contradiction, but some of it is not. Vegeta not using Super Saiyan 3 in Dragon Ball Super is not a contradiction. I explained that in September, 4 months before the form appeared. I said the form has a stamina problem. This has been established since 1995. And now it doesn't make sense. Why didn't he use it against Beerus? Because it's a bad form. Now, I think it looks cool. Don't get me wrong. But it's just Vegeta realized this ain't that good. Really and probably wanted something better.
I love that his 3 looks different than Goku's. I think that's so dope. Because people are like, oh, why isn't his hair long? I was like, well, Vegeta's hair sticks up. So it kind of makes sense for him to do that. And they're like, well, why is Goku's hair down? I'm like, look at Raditz. His family's long hair goes down. Like it actually made sense to me in terms of like, oh, that's just what his lineage would do. Like his hair would just grow down his back. Gohan's did the exact same thing. So I don't know. I thought it was a very clever depiction between the two. The differentiation I liked a lot.
And that's why I appreciate you, bro, because there are simple explanations that you have to think of sometimes and not let things bother you. I have more Dragon Ball explained videos than anyone. And the reality is that, and this is not ego, I'm on point with my shit. Like if I tell you this is how it is, like it's usually how it is. Now, I'm not saying that I can't get shit wrong because I have, but I always make a correction. So if we get an interview that says something new about Super Saiyan 4, I'm going to make a video about it. Why would I not? Yeah. I'm not afraid of being wrong. Yeah. I'm not afraid of fucking coming out here saying, yeah, you know what? This interview's bullshit. No, I'm going to say this is what was said. This is what I think. That's it. So I think people who are afraid to admit they're wrong have small dick syndrome. I fully admit that I thought they were going to do a fusion in the last episode. I said it every week and they didn't. And I was just as surprised as everybody else. Yep. Because contrary to what some may believe, I didn't have all the episodes. I had a dude hit me up and go, yo, DM me the last episode of Daima like last week. He thought I had the whole thing.
Hey, yo, son.
I'm like, bro, I don't have that kind of power, bro. Like, fuck. All right. What level of power was Piccolo and Daima? Higher than Buu Saga Piccolo, but not quite Dragon Ball Super Piccolo. I don't know, bro. Not that strong because he couldn't even knock the eyeball out. Piccolo failed in Majin Ku 1. Our instant messenger Sama. Daima is Toriyama's GT. He may have had a big vision for Dragon Ball's future. SS5 is now more possible than ever. So why stop SS4 just to make him canon for one show? There must be more to it. That's what I'm saying. You might be right. The problem is that we don't know. And here's the reality. Daima aired 2 days ago, bro. What if next month we have like a fucking spread and V jump and they're like, okay, this is all the stuff Toriyama said before he died. Like, we don't even know. Like, and that's the thing, y'all. Like, you got to live in the present sometimes, man. This is, and I keep going back to the whole, like, my age thing. It's more so because I don't like doing black or white thinking. And I think people on the internet have that, like, all or nothing thinking. I like to think more nuanced. It's like if we have like a political discussion, I will agree with some points on this side and I'll agree with some points on this side because that's what adults do. Yeah. And this, every day I wake up and especially on Twitter, bro, that's like the cesspool of misery. And people are just mad about, like, not even with me, like they're just mad about something all the time. And it's like for example, content creators, when they make mistakes, I'm not talking about me here, but in general, you can correct their mistake, but do we have to fucking say that they're stupid or that they're, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't. I used to be like this. I'm telling you from somebody who used to be like this and grew out of it, because when the older you get and the more people you talk to, the more you start to like. And I think people should get out of their comfort zones, bro. Don't just have the same. This is the problem, Adonis, bro. There's people in this community who have a circle of Discord friends, and that's their only friends.
For
and
sure.
They spend all day on Discord, and that's not healthy. You want to go out and meet different people of different ethnicities. You want to travel if you can and see how other people live, because it might. I mean, bro, you went from America to Japan to Australia. Like, you've been around.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think in terms of what this person was saying, though, with like the GT side of things, again, if we're talking about his GT because Super Saiyan 4 is in it, sure. Or because they were kids, sure. It's still within the confines of the story of Dragon Ball Z. And this is where I was saying, like, there hasn't been something that he's created post Z. It's still within the walled garden of that time skip. So
unfortunately,
to me, it's like it's just a side quest. It's a side quest in Z. That's what it feels like to me. So I know that people think they automatically associate it with it because Super Saiyan 4 is in it. Especially now. It was more so before because there were kids. Oh, they got Wish, they're kids. It's GT all over again. It's like, okay. But yeah, I don't know. The one thing that I thought was great, and I don't know how you feel, I'd love to know your thoughts about it, was the Mafuba kind of vibe that we got.
I loved it. Yeah, in the perfume bottle.
Yeah. How did you feel about that?
I loved it, bro. Anytime you go back to OG Dragon Ball, it puts a smile on my face because the Mafuba, Super brought back the Mafuba, and that was cool. Yeah. And then Daima brought back a very similar move to the Mafuba. It's purple, purple Mafuba, pink, whatever. And the thing is, that's something else, bro. The fact that Gomah and Degasu are trapped in that jar, that in and of itself could mean they had Toriyama thought about bringing him back someday. Because all it takes is some villain to fucking go in there and pop it open, and then we got problems again.
Yeah.
Like that, they didn't kill him.
Yeah.
Should they have? Maybe, but they didn't. So, Godly Entertainment Live, DBS could be its own continuity after Boo, and Daima could be its own continuity after Boo, with each having their own unique battles during the 10-year gap. But could be a cool idea to have two series running side by side. Well, here's the problem with that. Super's 131 episodes, and if you include the manga, it's like 7 arcs. Daima is one story, so it wouldn't really be side by side unless they did have plans for more. The thing is, okay, I want to address this again. This whole, like, they could be two separate canons thing. Nobody has said that. Akio didn't say it. Toriyama didn't say it. No one has said that. Until that is said, why would they bring back Toriyama to write a side story, a non-canon story? Like, and I hate using that because I hate the word canon because it's so like misused. But you see my point. Like,
this is why I think they were trying to build something for what's coming later. Because I'm like, why would you need to go back to after Boo, before Super, to tell a story that has no value to what is coming in the manga you're writing currently? Like, what is there more a reason why you wanted to place this story here when you could have you had a manga already? Why wouldn't you just continue the manga you've been animating?
You think maybe it's because they didn't want to have Super Saiyan 4 be a form after Ultra Instinct? You know what I mean?
That's definitely a possibility. And we can't say that it's not a possibility because we don't really know the answer to that. But
I just think people are jumping to conclusions, it happens every time something happens in Dragon Ball when we literally don't know. I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you this. Even I jumped to conclusions because I was for sure they were gonna fuse in the last episode.
I was the same. I even said at the beginning of the reaction, okay, they're probably gonna fuse. They haven't used the bugs yet. And nothing happened. I was like, oh, this is how it is. Okay.
Bro, I would have been satisfied if like they showed the bag and like it was burnt and the bugs were all destroyed. They didn't even nothing. So I'm like,
yeah.
Now, like I said earlier, there is a theory that people have that at one point maybe they were going to do the fusion and they changed their minds. But again, if you're going to do that, erase chapter 4 because it wasn't like you said earlier. This is not a series that was made week to week. The entire story was written out before it was done. They could have made changes that way. DJ Amp, wasn't there a character in the trailer who looked like Dr. Miyu? Was that cut? No, that was King Kadon. Go back and watch Daima episode 5. You will see that scene there. It's quick, so maybe you missed it. Quest for Glory Gamer, there are contradictions from Dragon Ball to Z to Daima to Super. Here's the thing. They're making it up as they go. All your answers happened off screen. He's right. I mean, he's not wrong. They are making it up as they go. Robert Wolf said Gomah wins the award for worst Dragon Ball villain. No way, dude. I know you don't like Daima, bro, and I get it that he ain't the worst Dragon Ball villain. You're telling me that he's worse than like, I don't know, BoJack, who's boring, bro. Like BoJack was a good movie, but he's boring.
Bro, like, BoJack. I remember watching BoJack for the first time, and I was like,
it's a great movie, but he's boring.
I was like, who is this guy?
And then not just that, in Daima, he's not even the worst villain. The worst villain was Degasu. Degasu was the most one-dimensionally written character in the entire thing, bro. Yeah. I just that I think was the worst. Alex Ander, Neva could help restore Piccolo's long-lost memory. Yeah, so he can learn the language again. Air Dog says, Daima is Gohan's dream. That's why he's not in it. I made that joke going back months, and I made it again last week. And actually, like we brought it up earlier, it wouldn't have been satisfying, but it would have at least explained where the hell Gohan was. You know? Blood Money says, is it possible they just trash can Super and start new at the end of Daima? The Super God stuff escalated power too quickly, wrote into a corner. But why would they do that? Like,
yeah, I don't know I don't think they would do that.
No, like, why would you trash? I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Super couldn't be rewritten better because it could. But, you know.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think with the God stuff, and I think, yeah, the power escalation is quick, but
he's right. It is.
At the same time, though, like, comic characters have been doing this for 50 plus years.
True
like,
as well.
So it doesn't really matter. You can still tell a compelling story. You can still have amazing villains. Like, you don't necessarily like that. The power cliffing isn't the issue. It's telling stories that will keep people interested and keep people on their toes instead of having like the methodical Dragon Ball tropes where you kind of can predict what's coming. Like that I guess that's the only thing I can say that we didn't really predict that this is going to be the end. So I guess they broke a trope, but yeah.
I do want to say this because earlier we talked about black and white thinking, like all or nothing thinking. Look, Akira Toriyama has meant a lot to my life, as well as a lot of people, probably everybody watching this and you and others. Akira Toriyama was, when he was younger, a very, very good writer. Not the best writer, but good enough to write a great story. He's a visionary. He's a tremendous artist. He's a very talented man.
Yeah.
The reality is modern Toriyama is just not as good as old Toriyama. And I think we as Dragon Ball fans, and this is not our fault, this is expectations. When Super was first coming out, Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, I think everyone expected it to be like, let's relive the era of Dragon Ball and Z. And there were moments of that, but it just never really, it never got up there. Whereas, and I brought this up before, Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai made the Karate Kid movies better. Dragon Ball should be written by super fans like the guys who wrote Cobra Kai, so they can take the Dragon Ball story and move it forward, not have it be a bunch of nostalgia bait. Don't bring back Super Saiyan 4 and a bunch of shit. I mean, it's cool, but you don't have to do that. Yeah. Don't keep the story. Don't regress characters. You don't have to do any of that. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Renaissance, right, could have been so much better. And ultimately, I feel like it was a disappointment compared to the old stuff.
I think a lot of times too, like if you're looking at it just from like, some people have, you have your on the rise moments, you have your peak, and then not everybody keeps their peak for long. Some people have peaks and probably come back down, sometimes they get another resurgence. But let's be honest, like if you're even looking at it from a Star Wars perspective, right? Like
that's another one.
Like, I think everybody can agree the prequels may not be the favorite from Lucas, but at the same time, they're still, he still had creative ideas that he wanted to get off. Whether you like them or not is completely up to you, but you can't really discredit the creativity. You can discredit maybe the execution. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, cool. Daima didn't really have crazy execution of story, but the lore was really cool. The world they created was really cool. The character designs were Toriyama as fuck. Like, so there were certain things of it that I'm like, okay, he still has him in there.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But the writing execution, because things have evolved so much over time and people's expectation of storytelling is so different now, it just seems like this could have been handled better.
Not just that, Toriyama had editors back in the day who would, when he would curve, they would straighten him out. Do you think anybody at Toei had the balls to tell Toriyama, excuse me, sir, Frieza should not want 1.3 million power level because he's already way beyond that. We should take this out of the script. It's like they're afraid of Toriyama. It's like the joke that Red Letter Media made about when George Lucas walks into a room and everyone's all like scared and he's like looking at all the art and shit. Like it's the same thing with Toriyama. It's like they're afraid to tell him, with respect, this contradicts a statement you made here. And that's bad. I mean, that's bad because even though Toriyama is the creator, he's still a human being.
You know what it is? A lot of times though, like creatives in general, like artists in general, when you idolize a particular person, there's not just because you're an artist doesn't mean you're a good communicator. What do I mean by that? That means that you may be an understudy of this person, or you may like, oh my God, I love this. I've been working with this guy for forever, blah, blah. But you may not know how to communicate to him properly of like, look, like, I think you're the GOAT. And I want to make sure that people don't misinterpret your vision for this. I think this 1.3 million, while you want to enter this power scale, do you think that the fans or for the story that you've already written, do you think it's congruent with where he's actually at strength wise now? Like there's not everybody has the ability to communicate like that, especially if you're an artist. That may be your bag is art. It may not be communicating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just may not be that.
Also, something else that people need to understand about Toriyama, the only guy he talked to was Toyotaro and Akio. People don't understand this. We know this for a fact because in the 30th anniversary Dragon Quest documentary, Toriyama worked through email. He doesn't go to Toei offices. He doesn't go to Shueisha. Everything is done through email, and the only guy he talked to was Akio and Toyotaro. So
That's
even
crazy.
and that's weird. Even if one of the writers was like, Toriyama Sensei, this doesn't make any sense, or what about doing it this way? He might not ever get the message. Now, Daima, he was supposed to be supervising the scripts, but maybe it's a thing where once he put the stamp on it, there's no rewrites allowed. That could be. We're explaining this to people because I want no other YouTuber talks about this except me. And again, this is not a brag. This is me trying to explain to people how it works because I'm in the Dragon Quest fandom as well. And we learned a lot about Toriyama from that 30th anniversary documentary. I was shocked. Bro, that he never leaves the house. He was a hermit. He's like an introvert. All right, J-Dot says, no geekdom. What I meant is it's canon, but it will not affect anything to come up in the future of DB. I, of course, could be wrong. We'll see. Well, I could be wrong. You could be wrong. Everyone could be wrong, which is why making declarative statements are hard to make now because we don't know. Robert Wolf said, I love how everyone complained about Super being only Goku and Vegeta, and then Daima does the Santa thing and crickets. No, the same thing and crickets. I don't think it's the same thing because Goku was in the demon realm with Glorio, Pansy, and Shin for like 9 episodes before Vegeta joined them. But he's right about episode 19. That was the Goku and Vegeta show. I mean, he's right about that. Instant Messenger Salma, Dragon Ball fans should be happy, to be honest. Games still get new content even after years of release. That's true. Plus new shows and movies. Berserk fans in comparison get treated like trash since Mura's passing. Well, here's the problem, brother. Now that Toriyama has passed, we may end up in the same boat as the Berserk fans. This is why earlier when Adonis said like Dragon Ball can't end, logically he's right, but I do not trust Toei and Shueisha, bro. I don't trust them motherfuckers. I don't trust them. So like I'm just not, if it ends here, it's gonna suck. But what I think sucks even more is that they're not talking to us. They should be telling us. And when I say us, I mean the West, the East, the Latin Americans. What is your plan? And they, I don't know what to tell you. It sucks. It sucks. Amari says, to be honest, I wouldn't mind if Diamond took place in a different timeline. As a matter of fact, I think that there's potential in that, but I don't trust them. Yeah, that's the key word. I don't trust them. Noel says, I wouldn't mind if they ended it out of respect. It was a hell of a run and loved every second of it. Yes, but they need to say that. Like they should tell us that. You know what I mean? True SSJ Havoc. It's funny that people forget Daima is 3 years away from DBS. None of the stuff introduced isn't in Daima, which is permanent enough. Well, that's the thing. There are 3 years between Daima and Super. You could easily, in one manga chapter, explain all these holes quick. Not saying they're going to do it, but they could. 3 years is a long time. Let's not forget, folks. Resurrection F and the Universe 6 arc take place within like a year of each other, and Broly and the TOP and Moro are all within like months of each other or weeks of each other, like and based on like where the arc starts. So the Majin Buu saga, right, is the longest arc of the original manga and Dragon Ball Z. It's 3 days. It's 3 days, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying, right? Like, time does not matter in the world of Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
so
bro.
Havoc's right. Ultra Instinct Goku. Super Saiyan 4 and Kibido Shin doesn't impact the story of DBS. Goku would still need a god form to combat Beerus and the antagonist afterward. Yeah, brother, but what we're talking about, what people are complaining about is why didn't he use it against Beerus when he first met him? That's the question. And they have to explain that, but that doesn't mean they will. Agent Alaska says, not Daima related, but you should totally cut out or put out 21st and 23rd Budokai shirts to go with the 22nd one that everyone seems to have. I'm going to buy them hard. That 22nd shirt is not one of my designs. That's an official like design from Japan. If you're saying I should put out shirts for that, I'd love to. The problem is, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it, bro. OG Dragon Ball doesn't get the respect it deserves. And a lot of people only care about Z.
You know what's crazy about this? You know what's crazy? I just have to say this. So somebody had me watch, because I'd never really watched Yu Yu Hakusho, right? This is years ago. So I ended up reacting to Yu Yu Hakusho. I thought it was good. And people were like, oh, the Dark Tournament's the best tournament, blah, blah. So I ended up watching it, and I was like, have you guys seen Dragon Ball? Like, have you guys actually seen Dragon Ball? Because I'm telling you right now, this is not the best tournament at all. I was like, this is a spam fest of the same move over and over. This is not the best tournament. I disagree wholeheartedly because they've never seen Dragon Ball. I was like, it's Dragon Ball Z's tournament and Dragon Ball's tournament are night and day.
Well, the Z tournaments that we got were the Cell Saga and the 25th tournament, which was interrupted by Shin and Sobopovich in them. That's it. There wasn't even, and then 18 does a fucking pro wrestling and throws the fight, bro. So it wasn't even a real tournament. It was just story setup.
Tournaments are so sick. Oh, they're so good.
Agreed. True Havoc says, I meant nothing introduced in Daima's permanent. Well, that's what I tried to explain, but it's not good enough for some people. Amari said, honestly, pacing was the biggest issue with Daima. Yes. Not initially, but looking back at it as a whole, it was. The Giants episode was a waste of time. And to me, the biggest waste of time was the phony Ginyu Force, bro. Chop that shit out, dude.
I thought you know what I thought, bro? I thought, okay, are they going to do something where they're like, they're, because like the fusion bug thing had like multiple people becoming a person. So I was like, oh, maybe they'll use the bugs and become a threat. And then maybe Piccolo will have to fight them.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
But I just felt like, okay, it was a gag at the beginning. And then it just turned into nothing. And I was like, okay.
It was a waste of time.
I was like, all right.
For a 20 episode series, Daima wasted too much time. And I want to once again say, this is no disrespect to Toriyama. It's just my opinion. It wasted too much time. Tiki Bruno says, just showing appreciation, Danny. Thank you for all the Dragon Ball knowledge. Hope all is well. SS Jutsu, thank you for the passion. I had the same reaction on Ep 19 of Daima. Late, but congrats on your son. I have 2 girls, so you're lucky.
I have a daughter, but I agree.
Oh, okay. I know you had a baby. I saw your baby on Instagram.
Yeah.
Maybe he just didn't know because
he didn't know. It's okay. I was saying I have a daughter, but yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's whenever I misgender a baby, I feel weird about it. Like my neighbor.
Most people don't know because babies look like babies, bro. Like, unless you see like a bow on it or something, like it's hard to tell what gender a baby is.
Yeah, when the eyelashes, when the girl's eyelashes start to come out, because girls have like longer eyelashes than guys do. And the jaws are more rounded. That's how you. This is gonna sound weird, but Saiyan Saga art is usually a girl. Buu Saga art is usually a boy. Does that make sense? Rounded face.
Yeah. I see what you're talking about.
Like jaw lines. Yeah, that's the deep cut. Thank you, Zapinos Eve. Okay, JD says my criticism with the the point about SS4 Nioibo was use it for their fighting style. Though the transformation wasn't what I wanted, they could have had Goku fight more like Wukong with the Nioibo. GT never did it. You're right, but it's still not. To me, that's still not really a criticism. That's more. I would
Of a
classify.
wish.
Yeah, I would classify that as a missed opportunity
Yeah.
because he's right. I did want to see Super Saiyan 4 Goku with the staff do some wild shit on Gomah.
That could have been really dope though. Like especially as a callback to some Wukong would have been fire. That would have, because that would have been sick. I'm not gonna lie. I agree with him. That would be really cool.
No, it just hit me. Instead of having Majin Ku hit him with a book, why didn't Majin Ku grab the pole, hit him in the back of the head with the pole, and that's how the eye popped out?
That would have been funny.
That's a better ending. He hit him with a book, bro, which, by the way, in 9th grade, I actually witnessed somebody hitting somebody else with a book.
Hey, yo.
They got into a fight. Think first. GT ruined the continuation of the story. This has nothing to do with GT, bro.
I think you know what I think he's saying.
Or is he talking about the old like back in the day?
Yeah, I think he's saying like would they ever continue Dragon Ball, and he's saying that GT ruined that opportunity. I completely disagree.
Especially not now with Daima.
I completely disagree.
Yeah, I don't think it did. Godly entertainment. Does anything change for you if Daima ends up becoming its own series and doesn't tie into Super at all in the future? Me personally, I would be not against a Goku and Vegeta going through new battles in the 10-year gap. Okay, does it change for me? If they straight up fucking say this is an alternate pathway, I would accept it and report on it and talk about it and put it in videos. They ain't say that shit, bro.
Right.
The problem is that people are thinking they said that shit, but they never said that.
Correct.
There are contradictions. I mean, no one's denying that, and that's part of the problem. They should have thought this through more. But let me ask you, bro, if they did reveal, if they came out and said, okay, Daima's like an alternate pathway, would that bug you?
No, I just want it to be good.
I agree. You know what? You know why it wouldn't bug me, bro? Because of 4 magic words. There is no canon. But go ahead, bro.
No, I think that's my biggest thing, bro, is like here's my thing. Like when I get people wanting me to react to shows all the time, right? So I'll react to a show. Perfect example would be if you ever heard of a soccer show called Blue Lock.
Never heard of it.
The first season was fucking sick. The second season, the animation was really strange. The art style was fantastic. The illustration was beautiful, but the animation was dog shit. So I was like, why? Like, what happened? And people were like, oh, well, you know, the production, there's lots of going on here and blah, blah. And they did a really good job for only having one person do this. I was like, I don't, as a viewer, I shouldn't need to know a synopsis on how production's going. I should just see the final product and either say I like it or I don't. I don't need a backstory on all this. That doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
I'm watching the thing. Let's see if the thing is good. If Daima comes and says, hey, if Dragon Ball's like, Daima's going to be a new side alternate story that runs in a different timeline than Super, cool. Is it good? That's all I care about. These aren't real people. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. Bro. Is it good or is it not good? That's all I care about. It's really that simple for me.
And I'll be honest with you. I said this on a stream the other day, and this is going to sound fucked up. Part of me said, you know, part of me would actually be laughing if they actually don't tie it into Super, because then Danny, who says there is no canon, is going to be validated. So the sick side of me is like, maybe they shouldn't tie it in, because Lord knows the canon debates, like the anime fans in the West need to disconnect this fucking canon shit, dude. Like, you need to let it go.
Yeah.
Like, because it's getting in the way. Now, again, I'm not saying that you don't have a reason to want something to be canon. I'm not even saying you're dumb. This is not an insulting thing. You just have to understand it from their perspective. Daima was not made for Americans. Daima was not made for Latin Americans. It was made for the Japanese. We get to enjoy it, but it was made for them.
Right.
And I think people, forget that. Zion Dawn, I think the next Dragon Ball will be Daima Bulma creates a time machine and the crystals from the demon world. And instead of creating a time machine, she creates a dimension shifter that always them to visit different timelines. That's some fucking Mr. Fantastic Four shit, bro. I wouldn't be against that idea, to be honest with you.
That's actually really cool. I mean, because again, these are the things where it's like you were saying before, the ending gave us more questions. She has all these crystals. What are we using these things for? Like, where does this go? And it was so crazy. At the end, I was saying, the reason why it would be really dope to add some continuity to the moral arc would have been dope. And people were saying, well, but where does Super Saiyan 4 come in? I'm like, bro, you can attest to this. Blue Kaioken did not exist in the manga.
Right. It was different.
It was what, Perfected Blue or something like that? Perfected Super Saiyan Blue or something like that. So it was a completely different thing. Yeah. Goku uses what's it called in it as well? Uses the
Hakai.
The Hakai. He uses Hakai in the manga. He never does that in the anime. So
but which one's canon?
This is what I'm saying.
There was one canon.
So this is what I'm saying. If the anime tied certain things into the moral arc for the anime version of the moral arc, you could still have these things continue. He may not need to use Ultra Instinct. Maybe he uses Super Saiyan 4 against more. You could do whatever the fuck you want because they have obviously done two different stories in Super for people to read and watch. So it's not a long shot of an idea for people to have. Oh, well, they didn't have this in the manga. Well, okay, who cares? Is it good? Do you enjoy it? Is the question.
And the reality is, I think it actually applies also for other series too. Like, for example, let's eliminate anime and manga for a minute. There's the Harry Potter books and the movies. Now, I've never read the books. I've only seen the movies. But everybody who I talk to says, bro, the books are so much better. But here's the thing. If I open up the book for the Half-Blood Prince, there's going to be scenes in that book that are not in the movie. So which one's canon? Obviously, the fucking book is, right? Fine. So if we apply that to Dragon Ball, that means that the original 42 volumes of the manga are the canon and everything else is extra. But wait, what about Super? Here's the problem with Super. Super, the manga, was not written by just Toriyama. It was written by Toyotaro. And Toriyama just consulted. And gave manuscripts. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta let it go. All right. Joe Porter says, I just want Bruce Faulconer to be back. Well, that's never going to happen. He sued them. They hate him. He's never coming back.
Hey, yo, that's crazy.
He ain't never coming back, buddy. And he didn't even make that music. He takes credit for it. He didn't even make that music. The guy called Fred, I'm sorry. With respect to these plot holes, Toyotaro now can simply clarify, resolve them in one per volume bonus chapters of the manga, a la Cell Jr.'s Young Pilaf Gang. I said that earlier in the stream. Probably, I think you sent this in before I said that, but I am in wholehearted agreement. This is not that hard to fix.
No.
Miguel Ortiz, like GT Diamond's its own thing. Well, it is, but it doesn't mean it's its own canon. Sly Rock says the best super arc was Moro, which was written by Toyotaro. Respectfully, maybe Toriyama was holding him back a bit, and we'll get a more exciting stories. I have seen people say that. What do you think about that?
I think that I don't think there's a holding back. I think there's a respect level here, right? Like Toyotaro obviously holds Toriyama in the highest of regards.
I would hope so.
It's his IP. He created it. So there's no holding back. It's just you're trying to be respectful for the person that is still alive, and it's his IP he created. You know what I'm saying? So if he's like, yo, I want to create this, and he gives him the green lights, like, yo, that's fire. All right, cool. Let's do it. I think there's a more of a respect thing there as opposed to him holding him back. I think it's more of that.
Yeah, I think you're right. That right there, what you just said, is why I oftentimes try to explain to people, you really, and this is optional, but it's helpful. You got to understand Japanese culture, man.
Yeah.
Things about Japanese culture that Americans don't understand. Respect. Believe it or not, bowing.
Bro.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Bro.
Politeness. I'm sorry, but Americans are a bunch of loud assholes. It's true. I'm Cuban and we're loud too. Yeah.
Bro, when I was on the train, when I was on the Shinkansen and they pulled out the food cart to come into the cart, they came into the door opens, they come into the cart that you're in, they bow to the car, they go through, and then as they exit the other side, they turn and bow again. Like, the respect level there is outrageous, bro. It's
crazy.
Incredible. Yeah.
It's crazy. When I went over there, like, people don't understand, bro. You go to Japan, changes your life.
Yeah.
It's so clean. We talked about this, you and I, in a previous stream. Yeah. It is so clean. Check out, actually, I did an interview on his channel, and we talked about going to Japan. So when you have some time tonight, check that out, because I don't want to go into that again, but we talked about how clean it is, and yeah, it's different, bro. Robert Wolf said, at the end of the day, whatever we think of Daima, we're still love Dragon Ball and Toriyama's work. By the way, I love Ku being king. Toa for Daima season 2. Like I said, man, I don't know about a season 2. I would like it, but who knows? Zolfenos I. Do you think Dragon Ball Super will have a remastered version where they fix all the animation flaws? And what do you think will happen for the story arc after the end of Z? To answer your first question, yes and no. They've already fixed the animation flaws in the Blu-ray releases, but they did not reanimate the entire episode. They just fixed some of the problems with episode 5. And what's going to happen after the end of Z, like we talked about earlier, I'm hoping for Black Frieza. I'm hoping for new stories. I'm hoping for different main characters and the story to go in different directions. But here's my thing. Dragon Ball has become nostalgia bait now, and I don't like it. Super Saiyan 4, Broly, Gohan, Cell Max. I want something new. Yeah. I appreciate the coolness of the forms. I want something new, bro. What about you?
I'm in the same boat. I think I love Dragon Ball, bro. Like, I grew up with it. Like, that's my shit. Ultimately, though, I want new stories. In the same way with Star Wars, like, I don't want to hear a Skywalker. I don't want to hear I want new shit. That. I want new stuff.
Yeah,
new stories. It's a galaxy you're in. Go find other stories, bro. Like, so for this, like, having new characters, the best thing about Dragon Ball right now in the manga, or even at the end of the manga, is Vegeta is not chasing Goku anymore. So I love that right out the gate. He's not trying to achieve Ultra Instinct. He has something else. I still think Ultra Ego is the stupidest name, but it is what it is. He's not doing that.
The Japanese name was different, but yeah.
Beast Gohan is a whole different, like, I like the fact that they're not just doing, oh, well, Goku did it, let me do it. Like, I like that they all kind of have their own identity in terms of, like, the forms that they are having. So I do like that already.
Yep, me too.
But yeah.
Yeah, we're living a weird time, man. Weird. Vortex 46. What's up, Gita Benjutsu? I think Ku becoming the new Demon King was hilarious. And I'm just surprised, like others, that Gohan was never around at all. We talked about that earlier. I'm actually more in shock that we didn't, even in that little credit scene where they showed Goten and Trunks on the hover bikes, and like, you couldn't show him there, bro. No dialogue, just him and Videl giving the thumbs up. Like, nothing.
Yeah, I have different opinions about Gohan, though. Like, I've always had different opinions about Gohan, but yeah. I've never been like I don't want to call it a stan for Gohan, but like, I think even with this story, I think even in Super, people are like, oh, well, they did Gohan dirty. I'm like, Gohan's not a fighter, guys. Like, I know you guys want him to be fucking Goku, but he's not. In the same way that Boruto is not Naruto, he's not Goku. He's not a fighter. He's never wanted to fight ever. So it's just, he's like the reluctant hero. He's like, yeah, I got all the sauce if I really need it, but I actually don't want to do this shit. Like, he's just not that type of character. So But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
No, you're right. I mean, you're objectively right. Junior says, Danny, we know you pop over Pulp Fiction, but why is Shawshank your second favorite movie? Because it's a really good movie. It used to be
incredible.
That was my number
incredible.
one for a while. Yeah, that's anyone's number one. And then Adonis, what are your top 5 films? I think he means live action, but it could be anything. You can say Little Mermaid.
Top 5. I know for a fact Inception's number 1, for sure. I don't know what the other 4 are, so I don't want to waste that time. And then and watching Breaking Bad, I was reacting to Breaking Bad before me and my fiance were reacting to it before we had our daughter, and then baby life happened, and there was just no way for us to get back to that. So we may get back to it in the future, but Breaking Bad so far was pretty incredible. So yeah.
Fair. No, fair. I'm actually making my way through Sopranos now, and I'm enjoying that a lot. It's a lot. It's very funny. Joe Porter, how do you feel about it, Bruce Falconer? And do you miss the score? No, I do not miss the score. How do I feel about it? I like the score, and if you want to know my thoughts, in fact, if you like that score, I have an exclusive concert here on the Geekdom 101 YouTube channel with the actual guys that made the music, featuring a new remix of the Super Saiyan 3 Goku theme called Super Saiyan 9000, live debuted on this channel. So go to my channel, go to the search bar and type in concert or English dub concert, and you can check it out.
That's dope.
Yeah, I'm good friends with those guys, bro. Those guys are great. I'm not good friends with him, but the other guys are great. King James Neal says, if we get a part 2, give of Demon Realm versions of the Shadow Dragons. If this is its own timeline, Gomah wasn't really intimidating, more of a joke. Well, like I said before, Gomah's like Pilaf becoming Jiren, but the Shadow Dragons, how do you feel about that being a potential storyline for the future if they like reboot it? It's more GT stuff.
Yeah, look, I was actually talking about this on one of my reactions about the Shadow Dragons. The Shadow Dragon thing, I think the concept of the Shadow Dragons was cool. I think the execution of the Shadow Dragons was off. It was like, all right, I love the idea of the pressure building in the Dragon Balls. It cracks it, this negative energy that's in there, but then it was just like kaiju running around destroying shit, and that's what it felt like. I don't know. It was something about it that I wasn't really a fan of. Could they pull it off and do a better job? Potentially, but again, kind of based on what we talked about before, I just want new stuff. I don't want a revisit of an old idea, and then I would rather do something new.
Let me ask you something. I haven't asked you this yet. Do you think it would have been better if they used the same Super Saiyan 4 hair color and look in Daima from GT, or are you happy that it looks different?
I've said this again. I think both forms are equally dope. I don't think I prefer one or the other. I like them both. I still think they're probably my favorite design of a Super Saiyan form. Yeah, I think it's my favorite, and I think they're both at the same level personally. So either one would have been fine. I do like the fact that this is Toriyama's take on it. I think
more
that was
Wukong-ish.
Cool. More Wukong vibe. I love that. I know people really hated the fact that his forearm was exposed and it didn't go all the way under. Again, design choice, but I liked both. I didn't really have a preference, to be honest.
That the animation in the last 2 episodes was so insane. I think that if time passes, people are going to remember that probably more than the issues Daima created. I think, and I'm not saying that I want this to happen necessarily, but I think when I watched that episode, bro, and it ended, all I was thinking about was what the fuck. But I think as time goes by, people are going to go back and watch the first half of 20 and be like, damn, they really did cook with this.
I agree.
You know? Yeah. Instant Messenger Sama, the fact that the new SS4 Goku lasted longer in his form than SS3 should be explained. Well,
Not really.
Magic. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I got. Magic, bro. Wizard did it. A freaking wizard.
But you know what it is though? I do like the fact, the idea, if Neva was the catalyst, which it showed that, but Goku explaining this stuff at the end, I think left a lot of people ambiguous on how he actually got the form. But nonetheless, the idea that demon magic is what gave him the form, like to actually kind of boost him into it. If you're looking at it from a perspective of Babidi, right? Babidi he obviously controls Vegeta, and you have this whole like dark eye concept, right? And having Super Saiyan 4 kind of have that similar.
I've got the real dark eyes, bro.
I think it's really dope. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool if that's a tie-in, because like the original Super Saiyan 4 didn't really. It's like the whole eye structure was so unique, but this one, it kind of makes a little bit more sense with the whole demon magic vibe of it. But
you know what, bro? Next time somebody asks me about my eyes, I'm gonna say I'm in Super Saiyan 4.
Hey, yo, son.
That's it, bro. We'll leave it at that, bro. Since everybody wants I don't know. No way they would have forgotten Shin and Kibito defusing, so there would be a need to be a new series and having them refuse. Well, that's what I'm saying is there's a lot of things that were left unresolved, and that's not good. Battle Cry, and again, with Toriyama being gone, it's even worse. Battle Cry 78. What Dragon Ball artifacts would you like to see explained? Explored. The origin of the third eye, demonic Dragon Ball.
We kind of got the third eye and a simple explanation.
Who made them? And then also, I want to know which Dragon Balls came first, the Demon Realm ones or the Super ones, because there is a debate about which ones came first. We don't know. People have made assumptions. We do not know, because the Demon Realm existed before the multiverse.
Right.
So, Benjamin says, what if in order for Goku to fully get SS4, he has to get past the SS3 stamina problem? Well, he had 3 years to do it, bro, and he didn't. Otherwise, he would have done it on Beerus. So
right.
Now, if they explain that and then they say Goku never did it, but Goku trains all the time, bro. So like, it would be uncharacteristic of Goku to not do that.
Yeah, this is where like there was a person in my previous that was saying the reason why it's so crazy. The reason why Goku didn't go Super Saiyan 3 in Super is because Daima came out after Super, and I'm like,
that's what Jay like, said, but he was fucking around.
I'm like, no, this is a commenter in my.
Well, that's obvious. Yeah, that's.
And I was like, sure, but writing is a thing. Like, you can write whatever you want prior and just make it fit. Like, what are you talking about? I don't understand that logic. I'm sorry.
4 magic words. There is no canon. You know what, bro? I'm just gonna say that from now on, bro. Marvel Lucha Empire 33. Okay. Bon Jedi. Please stop changing your name, bro. This motherfucker goes from Purple Bond, and then every time he has a birthday, he changes from 31, 32. Bro, enough. Okay.
Hey, 47 months though, as a member, that's fire.
Yeah, well, he better. Anyways, hey, Geekdom, congrats on 10 years of Geekdom 101. Well deserved, bro. You're the final boss of Dragon Ball content creators. Congrats. I appreciate that. Stop changing your name, though. Joe Porter, last super chat disappeared, but I asked how you feel about Bruce Faulconer's score, and do you want it back in Modern Dragon Ball? No, I answered it already, bro. Rewind the stream. I answered it already. That's already been answered. All right, 0x Zach. I definitely think that the ending to Diamond was mid. Yeah, but I still loved it, though. All right, well, that's not mid. You can't say something was mid. Well, I guess you can. I guess you can say, like, it wasn't that great, but I still loved it. Yeah, you know what? I take that back. That's fair.
I mean, bro, I've said this about Dragon Ball for the longest.
People ask me, I like it.
People are like, yo, what's your favorite anime? I'm like, what's your top 5? I'm like, Dragon Ball is not in my top 5. It's my favorite anime of all time, and it's on the side, but I don't rank it in top 5 because it means something very different to me. I was like, so in that regard, I was like, if I'm objective, are there better animated shows? Yeah. Are there better written shows? Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist.
I was like, there's a ton of better things. It doesn't mean I like it less. So yeah.
Dragon Ball's kind of like your first love, bro.
100%.
People. Zero exact. I definitely think that the ending to Daima. Oh, I already. Okay, let's keep going. But I still loved it. It just tuned into SS Jutsu content. Love the reaction, specifically Daima and Solo Leveling. Keep going. Yeah,
Appreciate it, bro.
people want me to watch Solo Leveling, and I have not given it a chance yet.
Yeah, try it, bro. It's there's some sauce to it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right. Mr. Jazz 212. SS3 does have issues, but I think our issue is Vegeta never hinted at this, and it's never implied at all in the episode. He's fighting Gomah, and Goku literally says he's running out of Super Saiyan 3. Then what happens? Vegeta goes down to a knee, and he goes from 3 to black. Episode 19, brother. Rewind it and watch it again. It's there.
Yeah.
Guys, just because I feel like some people, you know what, bro? This is how it should be. Vegeta should just turn to the camera and be like, I ran out of power.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? This is
like Goku straight up said it. Like,
you know what's interesting though? This is the interesting part. This is the interesting part. You can now potentially look at this sequence that happened in Super a little bit different. Future Trunks comes back during the Goku Black arc, ends up fighting Goku.
That's right.
And then fights Vegeta and says, why don't you go Super Saiyan 3? And he was like, bitch, watch this. Like, but it's like that makes that scene look a little different. It's almost like you could interpret it him acknowledging that Super Saiyan 3 exists. Yeah, I could do that, but let me do this. Yep. Like it actually fits pretty well. So just saying.
Now he goes on to say, in fact, Vegeta seemed proud of the form, and like he may use it again. You can't ignore that. Here's the problem with your logic, brother, because you really got to go back and watch the episode again. He was proud of the form when he had it. Mm-hmm. When he went back into base, was he proud of the form then? Brother, he called it Ultra Vegeta 1.
But that was so funny.
That was funny. That was
so funny. He's like, no, I'm Ultra Vegeta 1, homie. That's so
good. Yeah, dude, you need go back and watch the episode. Goku says he's running out of Super Saiyan 3. It's almost like, dude, if this is a sequel to the Majin Buu saga, and in the Majin Buu saga, Goku says, I guess the form has stamina problems, and when you use it in the living body, you can't ignore that. You talk about you can't ignore that. I can't ignore that. Bro, I'm geeked up. I don't ignore nothing. Anyways, thank you for your question, though. All joking aside, I appreciate it. No, really, that did happen in the episode, bro. It's there. I'm not bullshitting you. Silent Bob's hetero life mate. I know what that line is from. So Goku, prior to becoming a kid, was aware of SS4 but couldn't reach it. Yeah, and Neva just unlocked the ability and gave him a power boost. Is SS4 part of the normal SS forms or magic-based form? Well, it's magic-based. And if you want more information on that, watch my video, Super Saiyan 4 Transformation Explained. I made the video before the adult version, but it still applies. If Neva was not there, he would have never unlocked the form that we know of. Now, if they changed the explanation later, it's different. But as of right now, he would have never got it. Because otherwise, he would have used it. What were you going to say?
No, I was saying, like, for Goku at the end saying that he was training, right? I was training, I was trying to figure out, I didn't know if it was going to work. So the assumption that I had initially was like, oh shit, so he trained it. But then after rewatching it again, and you're like, okay, he never achieved it in training. He had an idea that it would work.
He knew there was something else.
He knew there was something else. So needing that extra oomph, whatever Neva did to him, gave him the ability to do it. And I don't think it's just a strength thing. And I think that's the thing that they try to show with Neva. It's not just a power boost. It was something that he did to him.
Yes, and it's there, bro. Like again, don't ignore the visual cues. We see them going into Goku's cells and we see the hair breaking. Like it's there. You know, it's there. It's like when Goku did Super Saiyan 3 and they showed like the great ape roaring. That's supposed to be symbolic of the fact that Goku's becoming more primal and tapping into more Saiyan power. And in this case, we got a fucking tail. So that's even more. Yeah. All right. We got to go through these fast. No more super chats, please. Instant Messenger Sama. General Blue was the worst villain ever. I would say General White because Blue was at least funny. But in the anime, they wrote him to be a little boy lover, and I don't like that. Thank you, Yozan. Yeah, I didn't like that. Instant Messenger Sama. Dragon Ball with martial arts in it was the peak because there was a competition aspect in it. Thank you. I agree. I may be an old head, but back then, no bland cheat mode, no blonde cheat mode, I'm sorry, was needed, and every fighter had a chance. OG Dragon Ball is the best when it comes to the martial arts aspect. So when Dragon Ball Z came around, the whole series changed. Fat Gotank says, fusion bugs with the red herring surprises with coup. Well, you could say that. That sounds like a cope. I'm not saying you're coping, but it's bad writing to introduce something and not follow through with it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. A red herring would have been if they tease Vegito and it's Gloku.
Yeah.
Or they tease Gloku and it's Dooku. Like that's a red herring, but just ignoring it altogether is a dropped plot point.
Yeah.
It's just bad writing. I'm sorry, but I'm not, again, no disrespect to Toriyama. Somebody in the chat asked, could it be another timeline? I'm like, welcome to the stream. Carlito Papi Los Velasquez fixed to have separate timelines in the multiverse. You're asking me to fix Dragon Ball, bro? Maybe they'll do it, but I mean, I could, but they're not going to hire me. I could make it work. I could figure it out. Robert Wolf, I actually love the bootleg Ginyu Force personality. Personally, I had an idea of them becoming Pansy's royal guard since she's the princess of Demon World 3. Daima would be a better video game rather than a TV show. Well, they show them in like the credits and they're like hanging out with Tamagami 1. So they're not dead. Nobody died in this show, bro.
Nope.
People are going to say it's all for little kids and shit because nobody died. Where's the blood? Mr. Jazz 212. I think the MCU has greatly influenced the way we perceive and digest content now. Everything needs to connect or make sense in our minds. That's true, but the problem is the MCU doesn't even do that shit anymore, bro. What happened to all those mid-credit scenes that didn't get paid off yet? You know
I think that's for no offense, but I think Mr. Jazz, you might be younger. That's not true. Like if you look from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, the story connects fairly easily. So it's not a new concept in the past, 15 years. This has been going on for a while. It's just this hasn't been handled well since the end of Dragon Ball Z. It just hasn't been.
I agree 100%. JXV, yo, Geekdom, you think they'll still use the fusion bugs in episode 21? Hey, actually, I'm going to use the fusion bug with your mom, bro, but I don't need the bugs to fuse with her. All right, Instant Messenger Sama says, I'm calling it right now. Super and Daima are about to get the Star Wars Expanded Universe Disney treatment. Shareholders are the worst. First of all, Toei Animation is not a public company. Neither is Shueisha. There are no shareholders, buddy. So that comment's already been erased. Second of all, do not compare Disney to Toei. Do not compare Star Wars to Dragon Ball. I understand where you're coming from. There are no shareholders. That's not going to, okay. They may say that, very slim chance. You want to know why? Because they would have already said that already. Don't you think that when Daima first started, they would have just straight up said that instead of like, you know what I mean? Like they would have already said it. All right, please, no more super chats. Please. Canon thing is going too far. This is from H. Boo Saga was 3 days. Lots of things could have happened before Battle of Gods, hence why maybe there's a reason we never see SS4. Amen. And I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying it's possible. All right. Bashirza, I wish there was a villain at the end of Daima that could have led into Super, something like a Dabura return with the evil eye. Yeah, but Dabura is dead and in the afterlife. Maybe if they had like Dabura's brother or something. I think everybody wanted Moro, but look, Adonis, I warned people all week. I'm like, you're not going to get a moral mid-credit scene, dude. Like, I knew they weren't going to do that.
Bro, I wanted one so bad. I was like, even if it wasn't for me like I wanted to see him. Even if it was like a mention of, oh man, he was the craziest person since Moro, or even a nod would have been like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to give, I think, the fans a potential look at, hey, we didn't forget about this arc. It's like something. There was just no like,
but that would only work if they actually were going to bring Super back relatively soon in anime form.
Right.
And they're not. So, you know, if they did, though, that would have been a great ending. Marcos Most 747. Do you think Daima should have been a movie? No, I think they should have added more episodes. That's what I think. Yazan Borawi. Again, please stop sending super chats. Do you think the rumored movie that Akira may have been working on could have been the true finale to Daima? Future Trunks or Bardock special, maybe? I've seen people bring that up. Well, buddy Amachi Hish, Star Blast Studio, says that he thinks that the movie that was rumored might actually be the tie-in to Daima and Super. That's possible. However, that's just a rumor. And one of the guys who I got my information from, you know, the information that was accurate, like Kudu, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, Marva, Neva, the Dragon. Do I go on? Can I go on, please? I'm sorry. That guy told me that they were discussing it, but right now he's been moved to another project. I'm not going to say what it is, and it's not Dragon Ball. So if there's a movie, it's not being made right now, at least not animated. It may end up being written, but again, there's no update on that. I talked to the other leakers. They have no update either. So right now we're just in limbo. Again, this is the Drought 3, bro. This is the Drought 3, bro. I'm about to bump the Drought 3 again, bro. It's a good mixtape. Ultra Vegeta 1, was that an Easter egg put into Ultra Ego? I think it was just a joke, but I could see that being...
I interpreted it like how he had his Super Vegeta form. I feel like it was that. Like actually, it was a nod to that.
You're right. It can't be Ultra Ego. You know why? Because it's not called Ultra Ego in Japanese. Ultra Ego is a translated name. Ultra Instinct is not called Ultra Instinct. It's called Migate no Gokui, the mastery of self-movement. And the Ultra Ego is called the mastery of selfishness. It's not called Ultra Ego anywhere outside of the English version. So because of that, it can't be, because Vegeta, you can hear him say Ultra Vegeta. So like there is no Ultra Ego in Japanese. Well, Bastion, what if Daima is a legal loophole allowing Yoku to do all the DB he wants without issues? Well, I already said that's why it exists, because Shueisha won't let him do more Super. That was reported here in November of 2023. And guess what? It's still going on, apparently. Also, do you agree that he's possessive of Dragon Ball? I don't. I would rather have someone who gives a shit than someone who doesn't. Does that make sense?
100%.
Dead Dark says,
100%.
Hey, bro, I really enjoyed Daima and love the ending. People just need to realize Dragon Ball is always full of contradictions. Just enjoy Dragon Ball. Well, yes, but I want to reiterate, I understand people's confusion. I really, really do. Hugo says, in general, I like Daima. Did you? Reviews coming soon, bro. I like some of it. I did not like some of it. I'm very nuanced on it, bro. I think ultimately it was disappointing, but we got a lot of good stuff too. So I'll get to that. I felt the ending left too many unsolved threads. Yep. I really want to know how or if they will even attempt to connect the Super. What are your thoughts? Buddy, we've been talking about that the entire stream. I know I want to give you your money's worth, but it would just be me repeating myself over again. So I would advise you to just start the stream over. We have way too many super chats, and I genuinely feel guilty because I'm taking up Adonis's time right now, and we're over time. That's why I told y'all stop sending super chats. Look, bro, if you want to take off, I'll just answer the rest of them. I don't want to hold you if you got shit.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
You got a kid, you got a chick.
She's going to swimming, and then I just gotta. I'll be reacting on stream, so we good. We Gucci.
Okay. I'm very cognizant of like people's time. So, but I'm not shitting you, Hugo. That's been the topic of the entire stream. The bottom line, it might connect, it might never connect. With the passing of Toriyama, we do not know. We just don't know. Like there's too many unsolved. There's too many questions that don't have answers, and Shueisha and Toei don't tell us anything because they're fucking assholes. I'm just keeping it real, bro. JD said, I wish Toriyama pulled a card from the Tite Kubo.
Tite Kubo.
That's what I said. Titty Kubo, bro.
Titty Kubo.
I love Titty Kubos, bro. And that should have been Arinsu's name. And he set up a fan club like Bleach's Club Kubo. The creator of Bleach basically answers any questions about the series. We could have had greatness. Well, JD, you just exposed yourself as being. See, JD, if you're a black belt, I'm a 5th degree black belt, because you see, Toriyama did have a fan club in the 80s. It's called Birdland Press, and he did answer questions and he did write articles for Birdland Press. Now, that was in the 80s. Why doesn't he do it now? You really think that man wants to fucking he's in his 50s? And do you really can you imagine? See, JD thinks that every question that a fan submits to Toriyama is some deep Journey to the West shit that he would ask. When, first of all, if that's the case, right? If that's the case, Toriyama would just answer it with some bullshit he makes up, because he always does that. That's number one. Number two, do you really think Toriyama wants to answer 850,000 times which Majin Buu is the strongest? Or fucking Toriyama Sensei, if Super Saiyan 4 Vegito fused with Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, could he beat Jiren with 3 elbows or 4? You think Toriyama wants to do that, bro? If I were listen, I'm going to tell you all something. Adonis, you may already know this. Toriyama's house in Japan has a sign out front that says, "Leave me alone." That's a fact.
Hey, yo, so that's great. Oh, that's hilarious.
You imagine how many people find him, bro? And
for sure.
You're going to have some, bro. Can you imagine if some dude finds Toriyama's house?
Bruh.
Hello. Do you like Bruce Faulconer? Who? Like, just imagine, bro. Just imagine. Thank you, Derek, for the super sticker. I'm trying to entertain you guys. Are you and Draven going to do a new Super Lucha Bros podcast? Well, it's called Lucha Brothers, K-Fabulous. Talking about the road to WrestleMania 41 with Cody and Heel Cena. I missed that podcast. Don't know. We talked about it privately, but I don't know about a podcast. Derek Benton Photography. Please stop sending super chats. All right, we're almost done. I don't want to hold this man. I know you said you can hang out, but I still feel guilty. The third eye seems to be a play on the 3 with the show. 3 eyes for each demon world, and 3 is the demonic number. I know. Yes, there's 3 demon realms. There's 3 Dragon Balls. There's a third eye. Here's the secret, bro. Toriyama was in the Illuminati, bro.
Oh,
yeah. Toriyama's not dead. He just changed bodies. He went back in his reptilian form, and he fucking left the planet. You know why he left the planet? Because somebody knocked on his door and asked if he was a fan of Bruce Faulconer.
Chill.
That's the canon story. All right. Calvin says, "What if Toei hired me as a writer for Dragon Ball?"
Can you write?
Yeah, can you write, bro? Can you write? As long as you're better than Toyotaro. Saucy J, I think Piccolo should have became the Demon King and appointed a vice king while he was gone, so the team could come back in the future. Majin Kuno. Well, the team can still go back. It's just that Piccolo really likes the Earth, and that's probably why he doesn't want to hang out in the Demon Realm. Plus, he would be the only Namekian there with Neba, bro, and that's like, you know what I mean? That would kind of suck, right?
Yeah, that'd be kind
some old ass man who doesn't bathe. Shamar Henderson, what does the MCU had anything to do with this, Mr. Jazz? I think he's replying to that guy earlier. I think he just tried to compare the two. Azzy Kurim, Dragon Quest continuation during the next Dragon Ball drought? No, bro. Dragon Quest Die is over. Dragon Quest Die was a manga that ended in 1989. They adapted it in 2020, and it's done. There's no continuation. I can tell you didn't finish it, because if you finished it, you would know that there can't be a continuation. And that's all I'm going to say. So, I would not expect Dragon Quest Die. You know? Let me see if we're done, bro, because okay. We actually are done. Thank you. I really appreciate the questions. Hopefully you understand my dilemma. I don't mind. I could hang out for 5 hours and answer questions, and maybe I will do that alone, but I just don't want to drag this man away from his family. He's already devoting. I know, but I'm letting them know. He's already devoting a couple hours, and I just feel, I don't want to drag you away. So, want to ask you one last thing. If Dragon Ball ended here, like and again, I don't know if they're going to, can Danny turn off super chats? Because he asked me that. There's a way to do it, but I would have to like shut the stream off. I don't do that. So, anyways, but I was gonna say, if Dragon Ball ended here and they just came out and said, due to the passing of Toriyama, we're not going to continue the series, would you be okay with the Black Frieza stuff still being left open and the Super Saiyan 4 stuff being left open? Or would you be like, you know what? Like, I understand. Like, how would you feel about that?
I think as a fan, I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
I'd be like, damn, right? You're like, fuck, I actually want to see some of these things play out and all that. At the same time, though, like, like I had said initially, like, it felt like when he died, like there's something that, because he's the characters are him, so it's like that soul is ripped out of it, low key. So I actually at the same time can respect them saying, you know what, like we're gonna call it a day, wash our hands, step away from it, and I would be sad, but I'd be fine. I think I'd be all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, that goes back to, like, it's not about my age, but it's like if I were younger, I would have been more pissed off. Now, like, as a businessman, as somebody who does Dragon Ball content for a living, obviously I want more content. But as a fan of Dragon Ball, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say something real controversial for those who haven't heard it yet. You may have heard it, but I don't know if they have. As a fan of Dragon Ball, did I enjoy aspects of Super? Yes. Did I enjoy aspects of Daima? Yes. I love Dragon Ball Super Broly and Superhero and some of the moral stuff and Ultra Instinct. Battle of Gods, that's it for me. Meaning, I can suffice as a fan with the original manga, the old anime. Battle of Gods is the reunion movie that got everybody back together. And if that's where it ended, I would actually be okay with it. As a fan, because I feel like Resurrection F, and people got to really think about this. Resurrection F, I think, was the beginning of the cracks in the armor, because there was a lot of bad writing in that film, and it kept going into Super, and it kept going. Yeah. Meanwhile, Battle of Gods, because it was a Yusuke Watanabe script that Toriyama fucked with, Toriyama works better when he's under somebody, or when he's maybe not under, but when he's working with someone else. I think he works better, bro. Not Akio, but like someone like Watanabe, someone like Toyotaro, or Naho Ishii. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just me, though. That's just me. Dude, I really love the old shit. And I don't think the Dragon Ball Renaissance ever really captured those same feelings, except for a couple of moments here and there.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're out of here. So, well, wait. Fuck, one more. 4-star Dragon. Do you think Goku and Vegeta can sense each other when digging into the honey jar? Oh, boy. And compete to see who can finish their jar off first.
You're an idiot. Jesus Christ.
You know what? That might
You're
be the best
idiot.
super. That might
That's
be the
hilarious.
best. That's the best super chat, bro. Well, here's the thing. When they fuse to become Gogeta and Vegito, they share the same brain because Vegito
Yeah,
and
that'd be
Gogeta,
crazy. So you think you can check what the memories were like?
well, right, because think about it. When they unfuse, they're arguing about shit they just did,
That's
which
hilarious.
means that Vegeta knows what Chi-Chi looks like naked.
Hey yo,
And Goku already knew what Bulma looked like.
He already knew that.
OG. But Vegeta has seen naked pictures of Chi-Chi
Yeah.
in the fusion. This is canon. You know what? This is canon. Fuck that. Nothing is canon except this right here, bro. This is the canon, bro. Vegeta has seen Chi-Chi naked, bro.
That's funny.
What'd you think about the
Hold
Bulma
on, I just pulled my headphone out. Hold on, let me put it back. We back. What do you say?
Can you hear me? I was gonna ask you, what'd you think about the Bulma bathtub line?
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was comedy. I was like, this is funny shit. Cause like, look, I think a lot of it is like this. It was a kid's take on an adult topic. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, if you don't get down here, you ain't tapping this ever. This is a wrap. He was like, all right, cool. Hey, you handle this player. I just thought it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny.
I just love that instead of wanting to fight, Vegeta's like, I can't give up the trim.
He's like, I can't give up the walls, bro. What? I'm not losing no walls for you.
And what that means is that they're very active.
Oh, so, bro.
I'm gonna hit you with a little bit more canon now. What if this is canon? What if the reason that Bulma is getting the Brazilian butt lift and all that shit is because Vegeta is making certain comments encouraging her to do so?
Hey, yo, son.
I'm just saying, man, that's canon.
He's like, hey, I need you to get that thing lifted, baby. I need.
That's proper character development.
Oh, that's crazy. That's OD.
All right, we are out of here, y'all. This guy said Bulla was made in the bath. That's possible. That is possible. Anyways, y'all, thanks again for joining me on this ride. The Super Magic Show, I got videos coming out about Daima still, but I am going to probably take a week off. I might do the show bi-weekly, or I might do some more questions and answers just because everybody wants to ask me questions. I'm fine with that. And I get it. I can answer them the best I can, but again, we're in a weird spot right now. We're in limbo. So hopefully we get answers, but please do not read some asshole on the internet's fucking opinion and say, oh, this proves that so-and-so is canon. Nothing has proven nothing. Akio has not said anything about Daima and Super connecting and not connecting. So there's evidence for both, and that's why we're all in limbo. So anyways, have a great one. Take care. See you soon. Oh, and check out SS Jutsu. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks.